Welcome to another episode of Larrikin Japan. Today I thought we'd have a talk about living in rural Japan. It has a number of appealing benefits, especially for those seeking quieter and more traditional lifestyle. Here are some key advantages. So first one, cost of living. Cost of living in the country is a lot cheaper. For instance, housing. If you go to Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya, housing's really expensive. You pay a lot of money for a tiny little apartment. You know, you couldn't swing a cat in it. You're paying a lot of money. Out here, you know, you can rent a reasonably sized house for not bad. Like we used to rent a house that had double car garage, a fair bit of parking, a bit of a backyard. We used to pay $700 a month. So, you know, in the rural areas, you can get a lot cheaper and a lot better accommodation. Your daily expenses can be a lot less too. For instance, parking, if you have to pay for car parking, parking in the country is a lot cheaper than in the cities. Cities is very expensive. Vegetables, they have farmers markets where local farmers sell their vegetables, so you can get them a lot cheaper in these sort of places. So there are a couple of good points to save some money. Now, number two, you know, like it's a cleaner environment, not as much pollution. You know, we live about 50 k's from Nagoya. If driving to Nagoya, there's a lot of pollution. You can see it as you're going in. Out here, the air's a lot cleaner. It's just a lot nicer place to live. Also, if you live in the country, you've got your access to a lot more. Nature is a lot easier. The mountains, the rivers, that sort of thing. If you live in places like Nagano or Gifu, your access to ski fields is a lot better. So living in the country can save you a lot of time and that sort of thing. And it's a lot easier. And it's just a lot nicer. Then number three would be like community spirit. The community spirit in the country is a lot better, a lot more tightly knit communities. People sort of tend to work together, look after each other. It's very, it's quite nice. That, you know, there's a lot of local festivals you get involved in and different things. So it's just a lot nicer environment. You get to know people. It's a bit more traditional Japanese way of living than living in the countries, in the cities, you know, where it's all just hustle and bustle and there's not a lot of tradition. In the country, there's a lot more tradition. Number four, it's a lot quieter place. You know, this is up at the tea house and Nishio Castle. Nishio Castle's up there. A lot of people out today, a lot of people doing Pokemon. There's so many people out doing Pokemon today, but you know, it's a lot quieter. You know, traffic's a lot easier. You don't get as many traffic jams, that sort of thing in the city. It's just traffic jams. You go to Nagoya, it's crazy, the traffic. And like just the amount of people on the street walking and that. It's a bit of a nightmare sometimes. And especially if it's rain, it's shocking trying to poke your eyes out with umbrellas, you know. And then number five, you know, you got a lot more opportunity to do things for yourself. Like if you rent a place or if you buy a place, they're a lot cheaper. They in the country usually come with a bit of land. So you have a bit of land so you can grow your own vegetables, which is good. Houses, like if you get some, there's a couple of types of houses. You've got the older style houses, which are really well built, and they're a lot cooler and that sort of thing. And then you got the ones that they did real cheap and they've just got the tin on them and they're pretty hot. So, you know, like there's different types of housing. But, you know, it's quite a nice sort of atmosphere to live in. And then you got, you know, like the number six, like housing, you know, So there is a lot of thing at the moment with these akiyas. There's a lot of akiyas around. Most of them are firewood. They're not worth two bob. There are a few nice ones, but this you get them for free, and you pick a house up for 10,000 yen, $10,000, and they're rubbish. If you want to get a good akiya, you'd have to pay 100,000 sort of thing. Get yourself a decent one, then you're going to spend the same again on renovating it, getting it up to nice living standards. So this getting a real cheap house and you're laughing, it's not exactly true. I think to get a good akiya up to a livable standard would cost you a couple of $100,000, and you'd have a nice house. Nowadays in Japan, internet is really good. Most places have optic fiber, so you can work remotely if you want to. Also, there's a lot of jobs in the country. There's a place like an unemployment place, they call it Hello Works. And if you go down there, there's so many jobs, and you can pick a job up there. If you've got some basic Japanese, you can get by. You can learn Japanese as you go, as you're working, but there is plenty of work around. And it is quite a nice place, so that's what I think would be the best idea. And you can get some work, or you can start up your own business. There's a lot of startup business visas now. They're really popular. There's all this sort of stuff, so it's quite easy to do. Now, also like farming, there's a lot of farming work, and I think farming is the next big industry in Japan to take off. Now, the average farmers are all in their 70s. They're all sort of retiring. So a lot of these farmers, they'll sort of give you the place to farm. There's a place across the road from me, and it's just overrun. The old fella died. The son and his daughter, his wife, look after it. It's just overgrown. They just can't do it. If you seen them and said, "Oh, look, can I have this place?" They'd give it to you to get it off their hands, so they don't have to deal with it. And then, the last point, it's just a slower pace of living in the country. People just take it a lot easier. It's not as hustle and bustle and that. It's just a lot easier pace. It's a lot nicer place to live. So this sort of thing. So these are all advantages to living in the country, in rural areas. You can save a lot of money. It's not as expensive as living in the city. It's a better lifestyle, I think. I've never lived in a city in Japan. I never would. Living in the country suits me fine. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, have a good one.